Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And this is the 2026 Genesis GV70
3.5t Sport Prestige.
All right, as we said, this week we have the 2026 Genesis GV70 3.5t Sport Prestige all-wheel drive with us, and a huge thanks to Genesis for lending us this surprisingly awesome sporty crossover.
Yeah, that's right. If you like car reviews, news, and shenanigans like our European road trip, smash that like button and subscribe for more automotive action. Now, let's see what this GV70 can do.
All right, we are officially cruising in the GV70 3.5t Sport Prestige. And Jordan, this color, Ceres Blue, I am convinced that Genesis designed it specifically to make every other crossover feel a little bit underdressed.
Absolutely. It's like the automotive equivalent of showing up to a barbecue in a finely tailored suit. And the best part, from here, the view out over that sculpted hood. I mean, look at those lines. It's like Genesis wanted us to feel like we were piloting something way pricier.
You're not wrong. For 2026, Genesis sharpened things up outside. The grille's been reworked, the lower intakes are more aggressive, and the headlights get a new micro lens array setup, slimmer and cleaner.
And the back looks tight too. The taillights are tweaked, but my favorite design flex, those rear windows. Tell me they don't look like they were borrowed straight off a Porsche 928.
Absolutely. And you know, someone on the design team had a 928 pinned up on their bedroom wall as a kid. And on the Sport Prestige trim, the details really pop. Dark chrome, blacked out accents, and these 21-inch wheels that basically shout, yeah, I lift, bro.
Yeah. Well, let's hit the basics, right? Because our audience likes receipts, right? They like us to bring them. So we're looking at 185.6 inches long, 75.2 inches wide, and 64.2 inches tall. It's riding on a 113.2 inch wheelbase and ground clearance about 7.3 inches, just enough to clear those steeper driveways without crunching your dignity.
Yeah, and the proportions still look chef's kiss good. Long hood, tight overhangs, wide stance. It's the kind of muscly shape that makes you turn back to look at it when you're walking away, which is rare in this compact crossover space.
Yeah, honestly, Genesis didn't reinvent the GV70 for 2026. They just gave it the perfect little nip and tuck. It's sharper, sportier, and just another example of how Genesis keeps crushing it in the styling department.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot to like here. Anything you don't like about the exterior of this Genesis?
I still feel like, you know, we could have done a little bit more with the exhaust tips in the back. I mean, they're there and they're somewhat real, right? The pipe still goes through them, unlike some other brands, Mercedes. But I feel like something could have done more special for the V6 model.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me some quad tips. Give me something, you know, showy back there. You know, you could even stack them or do something kind of like an Alfa Romeo. It would be kind of cool back there. So something a little bit different, I think, would really wake up that rear exterior. And the other thing I don't like back there is that rear fascia panel, gloss black.
Oh, yeah.
And just, you know, driving around, it's fall now, so we got the leaves everywhere. That dust just picks up and sticks back there on the suction. Makes it look kind of terrible.
Totally agree with you. I thought gloss black was for off-roading, right?
Yeah, right? So after taking in that bold exterior, let's move on to the interior of this thing. And honestly, it's a masterpiece. The thick, nicely weighted steering wheel and the ultramarine blue Napa leather on these quilted seats is rich, plush, and feels way more handcrafted than you'd expect in a crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they made these seats to be admired and used. And the soft touch materials, I mean, pretty much everything you touch feels premium. The doors, the dash, it's just high quality all the way around. I mean, this interior basically belongs in a Bentley.
Absolutely. You know, and Genesis didn't stop there. We've got a microfiber suede headliner on our Prestige tester, which gives this cabin like a nice, cozy, warm feel, and the panoramic sunroof lets light flood in, so this blue interior absolutely pops with this carbon fiber trim.
Yeah, that sunroof makes it feel like an observatory up in here. And the ambient lighting, it's configurable too. The soft glow under the doors and around the dash at night. Every piece of this design feels intentional.
Absolutely. And on the comfort front, the space is really well thought out. So front legroom is about 41 inches and rear seat passengers make do with about 37 inches, so a little bit tighter than some of the competitors back there. Headroom is about 39.5 39.6 inches up front and 39.1 in the back, so even taller passengers are going to feel like they've got plenty of space.
Yeah, and there's also the matter of cargo, right? So for hauling luggage behind the rear seats, you've got 28.9 cubic feet for cargo, and folding them down opens up to about 56.9 cubic feet. So pretty solid space for something in this class.
Yeah, and this isn't just a sporty crossover. Genesis built something that feels handcrafted, refined, and very premium. Serious luxury, but still practical.
And you know what else is serious? The tech in this thing. For 2026, the biggest update is probably this huge 27-inch widescreen display that blends your gauges and infotainment into one seamless digital cockpit.
Yeah, and on top of that is this excellent heads-up display, perfect for keeping your eyes forward. Speed, navigation prompts, calls, all projected right into your field of vision. And get this, Genesis also upgraded highway driving assist too, so adaptive cruise with lane keep is smarter, and your hands-on warnings are much more nuanced. Oh, it also changes lanes for you, NBD.
That's all a big deal for long highway stretches and when you need to park or maneuver in tight spots. The safety suite has your back. Forward collision assist, cross traffic detection, and an amazing camera setup with a 3D digital projection of your car on the road.
And on the sound front, Genesis went all out. Our Prestige has a 16-speaker Bang & Olufsen audio. It's powerful, super clear, and with a quiet cabin with active noise cancellation and acoustic glass, it really shines.
And comfort-wise, 3-zone climate control, heated and cooled thrones, heated steering wheel, wireless CarPlay, the list goes on.
All right, so again, a lot to like here. So anything you don't like about the interior or the tech in this thing?
Well, honestly, before a refreshed version of this interior, I kind of like the screen layout a little bit better. I think the one panel, while it's impressive, is a little lazy.
Yeah, you know, the old design was a little bit more well integrated. You felt like it was part of the cohesive design, and they've kind of gone along the lines of BMW and a lot of other manufacturers. Frankly, they're just like, we're just going to tack a big old screen on there and call it good.
Yeah.
So I think they could do better.
Yeah, for sure. And the black buttons on the steering wheel do bother me. I know not everybody, but the piano black, I gotta harp on it.
Yeah, this little selector here is kind of like a brush button. It's not a physical button. You kind of have to swipe, which just feels like awkward.
A BlackBerry.
It's like an old BlackBerry, right? And so it could be just easier with buttons, right? Yeah. So this is just again a solution where a solution already exists, right? So
absolutely.
We don't need to do that too. And while I love configuration, this car has so much of it. You can configure everything. You can configure your brakes if you want sport or comfort. I mean, there's just a lot of different configurations here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you kind of get lost in all those menus, though they're easy to navigate generally.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so I've had my turn behind the wheel, so I think it's time to get you behind the wheel of this GV70. So let's find a spot to swap and get you to turn behind the wheel.
All right, let's do it. Okay, Greg, now that we're strapped in, let's talk power. This thing is just plush, and it's got some serious get-up. Under the hood, we got a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6, putting out 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque, pushing this 4,500-pound rig around.
Yeah, that punch gets you to 60 in about 5 seconds and through the quarter in about 13 seconds at 103. But what surprises me is how these seats really hug you. They actually give you a literal squeeze when you put it in Sport or Sport Plus mode. And the steering sharpens up in a way that makes you feel really, really connected.
Yeah, and there's several drive modes. You got Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and even a custom My mode. It's perfect for setting everything on Sport, but that ride to keep it nice and comfortable, right?
Absolutely. And according to Genesis, Sport Plus also tweaks the limited slip diff, giving you more grip when you really want to push. It's really wild how well this thing balances being both sporty and comfortable. Even with that surprisingly great sounding twin turbo V6 under the hood, the ride stays smooth and poised. Genesis suspension tuning does a great job. You feel planted without being beaten up by every single imperfection on the road.
Yeah, and on the efficiency front, it's a pretty big, thirsty turbo V6. I mean, EPA estimates are 18 city, 25 highway. And in real-world driving, especially when you're enjoying that loud pedal, which I will admit, Greg and I do a fair bit, some owners have reported combined numbers in the teens.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch, ouch. But, despite that, the GV70 doesn't feel heavy or sluggish. The turn-in is sharp. It's happy to rotate in Sport Plus, and even when you're pushing it, it behaves, right? So it's surprisingly agile for a luxury SUV with this much muscle.
Yeah, it's one of those rare crossovers that makes you want to drive aggressively, but also lets you relax when you want to cruise. In comfort mode, it's buttery smooth, but flip it to Sport Plus, and you're driving a serious performer.
Absolutely. So, lots to like from a performance standpoint, but anything that you don't like?
Yeah, so again, it's such a good performer. These are nitpicky type things, but the transmission, I do feel like it does tend to be a little bit laggy compared to what its chassis and engine are capable of.
Absolutely. It just feels like it's maybe just a half second behind everything else, and just a little bit confused when you want to downshift, and just a little bit laggy when you're trying to punch it for, you know, something like that too. So just a little questionable there. The other thing that is a little bothersome to people like us who love to really, you know, enjoy pushing cars on some of these back roads is the brake feel is just a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, you got an initial bite there, and then there's kind of like this no man's land, and then it picks back up. Yeah. So, you know, if you're driving around town, most people really won't notice it, but if you're really hauling it down the back road, it's going to be a little disconcerting.
Yeah, they give you the option to, you know, choose between comfort and sport, but honestly, neither one really seems to solve that issue, which is just a little bit unfortunate.
All right, now that we've wrapped it up, it's time for Would You Rather.
That's right, we're going to pit this GV70 3.5t Sport Prestige all-wheel drive against 3 competitors and say which one we would rather have.
Yeah, the GV70 starts pretty reasonably at under $50,000, but our loaded tester rings the register at over $70,000 delivered. But let's check our options and see what else we get for around that price.
Yeah, so first up is our winner from last year's European road trip, the Audi SQ5. So pretty much all new for 2025, $64,000 base, 362 horsepower, about 22 miles per gallon combined, 4.6 seconds to 60. Which one would you rather have?
That's a tough one, because I do like some Audi SQ5 now, as we saw earlier, but with that redesign, that interior has shifted in a more like touch buttony way. It's very cold and dour, and honestly, like, the performance is great, don't get me wrong, Audi knows what they're doing, but if I was to sit in that interior every day and sit in this one, I would much rather have this one for the price size.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this feels really pretty much on par with the SQ5 from a performance standpoint, but this interior is so much elevated over that Audi refresh. I'm not liking what Audi's doing with their interiors now, and this is just such a much nicer place to be. So I'm definitely going with the GV70, which honestly was a decision I would not have thought I would have made before getting in this vehicle.
That's true.
All right, so how about something that you would definitely put grille stripes on for our next choice, the BMW X3 M50. Starts about 67 grand, 393 horsepower, 25 in the city, 30 on the highway, and about 4.4 seconds to 60. Which one would you rather have?
Now, that is a good comparison to this, because I've driven one. Well, I'll be honest, this was the previous generation, and if it was the previous generation, I probably would have gone with that one.
Oh, okay. But it's not.
It's not, right? It's the current generation, which looks bloated on the outside. And the interior, again, is filled with these random materials. Some of them feel really cheap. It's disjointed. This just does such a better job designing the interior and exterior. It's more cohesive. Now, don't get me wrong, the performance on that is certainly better than this, right? But for me, in this particular realm, when I'm driving a crossover, I'm not really pushing it to the max. I'm totally fine taking a slight penalty for a more comfortable ride and a better interior.
Absolutely, 100%. Could not agree more, which, I mean, for those of you who watch the channel, big surprise there. But, you know, the BMW is definitely a performer. So if you want the performance, if that is your main goal, the BMW is the choice. But for an all-rounder, I'm taking this.
Yeah?
This interior is so nice. You know, for something that's an SUV, like, I don't need that extra performance, right? Like, I'm going to get a sports car, I'm going to get a sports sedan for something like that. So for me, I'm definitely going with the GV70 again. So again, not a huge surprise there for our loyal viewers. Last choice. So since we talked about 2 Germans, you know, how about a third? Let's go with the Mercedes GLC 43. Okay. So the mild AMG starts at about $67,000, 416 horsepower from that 2-liter 4-cylinder with all that hybrid assist. 19 in the city, 26 on the highway, about 4.7 seconds to 60. So it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it is. You know, and the Merc is a comfortable ride. That's what they're known for, and it certainly doesn't disappoint there. I will say, though, for the money, here you get a twin-turbo V6, which I know we just talked about how we don't necessarily need all the power, but the sound of this sounds so good, right? And the interior on this is so good. I mean, I just can't stop singing its praises, honestly. And for the money, it's bizarre to say, but I would take a Genesis over a Mercedes.
I would too, and I mean, design-wise, I like the way this looks better than that GLC. And Mercedes interiors have not done it for me for kind of a long time. They've felt very plasticky and just questionable materials being used throughout. And you know, for someone who used to be the standard for so long, I feel like they've fallen pretty far. But you know, Genesis is like literally now the standard bearer. This thing is just, we cannot sing its praises enough inside, and I'm going to have to go with the Genesis yet again. So that is a 3 for 3.
That's right.
Completely agree. Genesis over basically all the competition, which is crazy to say because it is actually more expensive than any of them, right? So let's go ahead and find a spot to pull off for our final thoughts. All right, we have pulled off here for our final thoughts on the 2026 Genesis GV70, and it's rare that we are so pleased with a vehicle. We love this thing pretty much top to bottom.
Yeah, there's very little to complain about. Of course, we are going to give you a comprehensive list of what we do and don't like. But starting with the exterior, this is really a home run for Genesis. I mean, this car came out in 2022 and it still looks fresh, it still looks unique, and it still looks really, really upscale.
It does, and the styling just looks nice and fresh, as you said, and I love that they have used that 928 aping rear window. Porsche has to be kicking themselves that they didn't include it on the Macan all those years ago.
So true. But even down to like the dark chrome touches, right? There's real thought that went into this design, and you can tell. I mean, it looks really special.
It really does. And moving inside is where those touches really continue. The interior of this thing feels so upscale. You've got quilted seats, contrast stitching, orange seat belts. They have done a really nice job of elevating this over, frankly, even the other GV70s.
Yeah, it's so nice to see a unique styled interior that's held up the test of time. And with the updates, with the new steering wheel and the new tech that's inside, they haven't run away from the original design, right? They've only just made it better. So that in combination with the excellent interior materials, really this interior is second to none.
Oh, absolutely, second to none. Everything you touch feels high quality. Like even down on the lower part of the door card, as we were driving around today, reach down there, it's nice and squishy. It's squishy plastic in a place that you would expect to feel the hardest, sharpest, you know, seam plastic from the manufacturing process. It just feels really well done.
Yeah. What's also really well done with this is the suspension tuning. Oh my gosh, sitting in that seat's really comfortable, but you know, you take it on a rough road, and a lot of the German competitors, right, the suspensions are so stiff, it feels rough. This does not feel like that at all. The adaptive suspension in this works wonders.
Absolutely. And it's one of those ones that works well in both comfort and in sport. So sport's not going to chatter your teeth out, but you're going to feel that stiffen up nicely. You're going to feel that weight go into corners, and it's just going to bite nice and hard with that initial turn-in that they have just done an excellent job at dialing in. Throw it in Sport Plus, and you're going to feel rotation coming out of those turns as that limited slip diff in the back has recalibrated how it's putting that power down. It just is a wonderful, wonderful package out on the highway and down the back roads.
Absolutely. I mean, it feels like a grown-up professional hot hatch, right? One that really rewards you for driving, but also pampers you in comfort.
Yeah, it's got its tie on, you know, and pop collar maybe, and says, hey, we're going to go out and have some fun.
Exactly. And what's fun powering that is that 3.5 turbo V6. I mean, it sings a sweet song and it puts out the numbers.
It really does. 375 horsepower, and you know, this is one of the ones, of course, it pipes in the sound pretty much like everything else now, but they actually did a really good job tuning it because it sounds pretty good inside, and they let you choose which level you want. But you know, everything, well, pretty much everything is great. There are a couple things that still kind of bother us about this GV70.
Yeah, and connected to the engine is kind of, I think, our biggest sticking point is that transmission, right? So we're using an in-house Hyundai branded 8-speed, and to be honest with you, off the line, it is a little laggy. Some of the shifts need to be a little bit faster, especially considering just how good this is performance-wise already. We just need a little bit sharper tuning. And is there somewhere where they offer a sharp shifting 8-speed automatic?
Yeah, does anybody do that? That's in pretty much every car out there. ZF maybe, I don't know. You know, obviously Hyundai wants to do, or you know, have a bit of scale using these transmissions between their Hyundai vehicles and their Genesis vehicles and their Kia vehicles, and I get it, right? But you know, the ZF 8-speed would make this thing just that much better. That said, it's not bad, and it probably could be fixed via, you know, a little bit of tuning and things of that nature. One other thing that probably could be fixed via tuning is the brakes. So the initial bite is good, but then you kind of go through a little bit of a dead spot, and then you have a second bite. It's kind of confusing, and it takes a little bit of learning to understand how these brakes kind of work. it's just not great.
Yeah, it's really because we are just huge gearheads, right?
Yeah.
We love driving these cars to the limit. You know, for most people driving this on the highway around town, they're not going to notice a huge difference. But because it's so close to perfection, we would love to see a little bit of tuning done to that brake pedal.
Absolutely, and they have done a great job, you know, in the broader Hyundai scope, right, of doing great brakes. We've seen it on the Elantra N, right? Those brakes were fantastic. You know, maybe go ahead and talk to the folks who, you know, dial those up and maybe put them here.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a performance car. I mean, it honestly reminds me a lot of the Porsche Macan, the styling of it, the layout of it, and just the way it rewards you from driving. It's really a similar Porsche product almost.
Yeah, and you know, with the ICE Macan kind of going the way of the Dodo, Genesis has stepped up and filled that gap for you. So,
I guess if you want a Porsche Macan that has a gas engine, you got to go to Hyundai.
it seems like you have to. So, on that fantastic revelation, it's time to end.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line. Hit that like button to subscribe for more car reviews, specials, and podcasts.
A special shout out to our partner Drive Shop for fleet management, keeping us fueled up and on the road, enabling us to keep bringing great content to you.